Following the last video, in this video, I'm going to show you how to clean up an image trace and add color to it. Here I have my cat sketch already traced to vector shapes, and first I'm going to ungroup it. Sometimes you might need to ungroup a couple times. Here I think I got a fairly clean trace. Sometimes you might end up with lots of small line segments and paths, and one way to check it would be have one line or line segment selected, and then use your selection tool and go up here, this icon called select similar objects. Here I'm just gonna select fill color. You will hit it, so it will basically select all the similar objects. I'm going to give it just a different color so it will be easier to see. Now you can see, oh, it's gray because when we converted, it was converted to a grayscale. In order to change it, we will go to Edit, Edit Colors, Convert to RGB. And then now you select the color, it should be able to fill in with color. In this video, I also want to introduce you how to use the layers in Illustrator. Go to Window and get the Layers panel out. Here you can see there is layer 1, and I already added one layer called Swatches, which has all the color swatches I'm going to use. Here I want to create a couple more layers by clicking on the plus icon here. And this one I'm going to call it Lines. And this one I'm going to call it Color. So basically, I want to select all the lines here and move it to the Lines layer. And then I'm going to add shapes with colors, and I'll put those shapes on the color layer. Now I'm gonna select one path first, and then use the Select Similar Objects function to find all the other same path. And here on the layer 1 layer, you will see it's being highlighted, and on the right there's this little rectangle showed up, which basically indicates selected art, and you will click on it and move it to the Lines layer. Basically, by dragging and moving this rectangle, it's moving all the selected art on one layer to the other layer. And now we can hide layer 1 because now there's nothing on it. Sometimes if your image trace result is a little more complicated, you might see other paths and little bits and pieces, and you might need to do this process a couple times to clean up. On the Layers panel, there's also this list of circles. When you click on one of them, it will select everything on this layer. Now I just selected all the paths on the Lines layer, and I can use my eyedropper tool to easily recolor it. Here I can also click on the blank space next to the eye to lock it. You can also click on the eye to hide and show it. And now I want to lock my line so it's easier for me to color it. Here, basically, I'm going to use the pen tool to draw these paths underneath the Lines layer. First of all, I'm going to drag the color layer underneath the lines so all the shapes on the color layer sits underneath the Lines layer. Here, I'm going to select a color and use P to select the pen tool. The good thing about this workflow is you don't have to be that precise when you are making shapes underneath these outlines. Now Now, in order to add more colors on top of this, all you need to do is to add more shapes on top of it to cover it, basically. Here, the other more intuitive way you can color is to use the brush tool or hit B on your keyboard. Here it is very important to pay attention to the order of the shapes. The shapes we just made are underneath the lines layer. Here, in order to fix it, in the layers panel, I'm going to actually make a new layer, drag the lines layer underneath this new layer, and drag them on top of this new layer I just made. And now you can see they're sitting on top of the lines. The other tool I'd like to quickly mention is the eraser tool. You can select it from your toolbar or hit Shift E on your keyboard. Basically, the eraser tool will simply erase everything on your document. It's a pretty straightforward tool, and it's basically gonna separate all the paths into different segments. However, if I hide certain layers, then it will only affect the visible layers. Or if I have a layer locked, it also won't impact on the locked layer. Now I'm going to quickly finish coloring this sketch using the same method I just showed you. Alright, here is my colored digital sketch. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to use the pattern tool to create polka dots shadow effect.